What is up, everyone? Welcome to the matchday 4 round of 16 team selection. The best players to get a video. My name is Ryan from the Football Chatbox. If you are new, welcome. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be talking about obviously the best goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards that you can look to get. And let's start straight with the goalkeepers. Now, if you're on a wild card, or if you have a wild card, sorry, not wild card, if you have a wild card chip left, or if you don't have a wild card chip left, I still think there are only a few goalkeepers you can still target. For those of you who don't have a wild card chip left, I think it would be in your best interest to try and get both of your keepers from either side of the bracket. So what I mean by that is from France, Belgium up to Spain, Georgia is one side of the bracket, and the other side is Romania, Netherlands was up to Switzerland versus Italy. So you want to get a keeper from one side of the first side of the bracket, and you want to get a keeper from the other side of the bracket as well, because you only have 3 free transfers between the round of 16 to the quarters, and then it increases by 1 from quarters to semis, and you don't really want to be spending a free transfer on a goalkeeper. Now you could potentially use that free transfer in the semis, but going to the quarters you don't want to have to make a goalkeeper transfer. So it's probably, and also not only you don't want to make a transfer in the quarters for the goalkeeper, you also want to get the other reason for trying to get them on the opposite ends of the brackets is so that you get a goalkeeper playing on different days, especially when it goes into the quarters. As you can see, it shows here 6th of July. Now I'm in Australia, so it's a day earlier because of time zone zip differences. But as you can see, the first bracket of the quarters is on the same day, and then you have on the other side of the bracket they play on the next day. So that's the reason for getting keepers on opposite ends of the brackets, because you get that option of, if they don't keep a clean sheet in the first day, you at least have a keeper playing on the next day that you can bring on. So having said all of that, now even for those who have a wild card and are looking to play a wild card, you could in your situation potentially go for keepers on the same side of the bracket, as long as they are potentially playing on different days, right? Now let's look at a few keeper options that I think would be good to probably get in. We'll start with, I think the best option is probably from Spain for the round of 16. Purely for the round of 16, I think Spain, Unai Simon is a really good choice for a goalkeeper. They've kept 3 clean sheets, Spain. Obviously, Simon played for 2, David Raya played the third one, but they've kept 3 clean sheets as a team. So going against Georgia, I think Simon is a really good option. Your next option for goalkeeper, I think, would be from the other side of the bracket. I would go for Pickford from England. England haven't looked great attacking wise, but defensively, I think they've looked pretty good, to be honest. And that you have to kind of consider as well, because against Slovakia, I think England, again, it'll be another low scoring game. Chances of them keeping a clean sheet are high as well. One thing to add though is, if you're going for both Simon and Pickford, they both play on the same day, which is a problem for the round of 16. So in your situation, you probably wouldn't want to be like that. So you probably feel, let's say you're getting Pickford from this side of the bracket, because I think if you look at the teams from this side of the bracket, Switzerland versus Italy, maybe you have Donnarumma from Italy, England, Slovakia, Pickford, Austria, Turkey. I wouldn't really go for either goalkeepers. I think neither team is going to keep a clean sheet. And Romania versus Netherlands, honestly, I don't even trust either team to keep a clean sheet. So I wouldn't go for Verbruggen or the Romanian keeper as well, because I don't think there are going to be clean sheets from either side. Especially when they move into the quarters. Whoever moves into the quarters in that fixture, I don't see them keeping a clean sheet in that as well. That's one of the reasons. So for me, let's say if England were to qualify and beat Slovakia, and Italy were to go ahead as well, at least you'll have one keeper from there. And from there, between England, like Donnarumma versus Pickford, up to you in terms of like who works out. If it doesn't work out and your keeper gets knocked out, at least you'll have an extra transfer by then to use in the semis, and then you'll know what the semis teams would also look like. So round of 16, if you're going for Pickford on this side of the bracket, obviously Simon plays on the same day, so that's not an option. So who are the other keepers you can look at? For me, I like France against Belgium as a fixture for the French. I think Mangenen will be a really good option as a goalkeeper. They've kept 2 clean sheets and a 1-1 against Poland. Defensively, I still think the French are good, and I don't really rate Belgium that much. This Belgium team doesn't seem to be clicking as well. So I do like Mangaren as an option, and also that gives you the chance of uh, different day keepers. Now, the one problem with this pick slightly is that after France beat Belgium, they face Portugal next, which chances for a clean sheet are going to be low. I will mention that. But then that would be the same situation if you were to go for Simon as well. If Germany win, beat Denmark, Spain beat Georgia again. So that's why the bracket chances for clean sheet are very low. So that's why I kind of like Pickford a bit more, because the England versus Italy also feels like a very low scoring game. So there is a chance for a clean sheet from one of those goalkeepers. But yeah, French goalkeeper is my other option. If not, I also do like Diego Costa, the Portuguese goalkeeper, but I have got him in there. Although I might most likely switch to the French goalkeeper instead, now that I think about it, because I do prefer the French keeper over Diego Costa. But for those of you who, the reason I've got Diego Costa is because I've got a wild card. So because I have a wild card, I could potentially take that risk on the fact that, let's say, Portugal versus France in the semis, sorry, in the quarters, I don't have to worry, right? I can use get different keepers if I wanted to. Or I could just even keep Costa. I could switch to Mangaren in the quarters because I have a wild card, right? It's not a problem. For me, between Portugal, Slovenia, and France, Belgium, there's a slightly higher chance that Portugal keep a clean sheet. That's why I've got Costa. But if you're looking at Portugal versus France as a team, that's a very 50-50. If you think France will win, then maybe you're more likely to keep Mangaren. That's if you don't have chips. So those are the only couple like keeper options that I like. I don't really like any other keepers as options. Maybe Donnarumma, but he's too expensive as well, so that's why I wouldn't go. Same thing with Neuer, slightly too expensive. I think 5 million, 5.5 is the max I would go for the keeper. 6 million, I think you're just pushing it a bit more. So that's my goalkeepers. Defense, let's look at it. I've got double Spanish defense. Again, for the reasons being that I think they'll keep a clean sheet. Cucurella and Carvajal are really good options for anyone who's looking. Mark Guehi is probably the only English defender I would look to go for, especially if you're doubling up with like Pickford in goal. I wouldn't triple up on English defense, definitely not, because there is a chance that they always concede. So I wouldn't go triple English defense. If you're not going for Guehi and you want someone else, probably Walker, to be honest. Walker or Stones. I wouldn't really go Trippier. So I probably would go Walker because it's like 5.5. He's the only other player that I would probably look at in terms of going for England defense. The other options I would look at would be from Spain. We mentioned England. I should mention France. I still think they're pretty good defensively. Like I mentioned about the goalkeeper, Theo Hernandez, attacking wise, pretty good option for anyone who's looking for an attacking fullback. I also would add Saliba from the ball recoveries perspective as a good option to have. 8 ball recoveries in the last game against Poland, so I would add him as well. That's one of the reasons why I've got Cucurella in here in terms of ball recoveries. 14 ball recoveries versus Italy. So he's also a ball recovery merchant. So France, Hernandez, Saliba as options. And the other team that I do like, I would add, and this is where for those of you who are potentially who don't have a wildcard chip, you might have to diversify slightly in terms of your risk. And if you think the Switzerland versus Italy game is slightly 50-50, Kanji should be mentioned as an option for the Swiss. And from the Italian side, I do like Bastoni, mainly because he's a goal threat for Italy. From set pieces, he's a goal threat. So I do like him. If they do concede from set pieces, there's a chance that he could get something. So I like him as a goal threat option, and also ball recoveries, 13 ball recoveries in the last game. So Bastoni is my Italian pick if you were to go for a defensive player from one of those teams. Um, would there be any other defensive players from teams? I wouldn't go Belgium. I know Woutface has done well so far in the tournament, but I don't think I would go there. Austria, no. Denmark, probably not. England, I've already mentioned. France, I've mentioned as well. Georgia, I wouldn't. They're playing Spain. Spain tend to score a lot of goals, so I wouldn't go there. Germany, I think we should mention Mittelstadt as an option. Obviously, very attacking fullback, so he will definitely be one I will have. Especially if you're looking for German defense, I think it's a good point, good punt to get in. Obviously, Jonathan Tah is suspended, so don't go picking him. You can go for Rudiger, but I think Mittelstadt just one German defense probably enough for this fixture against Denmark. I don't know if I would go double. I'm not fully convinced, especially with Jonathan Tah kind of out. Dutch defense. I mean, you guys could go Van Dijk or Nathan Ake. If you're looking to go Dutch defense, it will only be between Ake and Van Dijk. But I don't rate the Dutch defense too much, so I wouldn't really go there. And there's too much doubt between Dumfries and Frimpong, so not gonna look into that. So it's either Van Dijk or Ake, but I personally I'm not really convinced on Dutch defense. But if you want to go for, you can, but not really convinced. Portugal is another team I guess we should mention. Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. I'm not going to mention any defenders, neither for Turkey as well, because I don't see clean sheets. From Portuguese defense, I think Cancelo, minutes wise, is the safe pick. Apart from Cancelo, I think if you're looking for another option, Nuno Mendes, I believe, will play and is a really good option and an alternative for those who want maybe a slightly more affordable Portuguese defender. If you want a more nailed option, Pepe also I think will definitely play. He's played the first two. He will start again in the round of 16, and alongside him it'll probably be Ruben Diaz as well. So those are your more slightly centre back nailed options that you would want to go for. I think Pepe is not a bad shout, to be honest, for 5 million between him, Cancelo, or Nuno Mendes. I still would probably go for Cancelo, just because of the pure attacking threat. But if you want to go for Nuno Mendes as well, I've seen a few go in for that. Not a bad shout as well, to be honest. That's it for defense. Let's move into midfield. Actually, no, we'll come back to midfield. Let's go into forwards first, because this is where slightly things could differ based on your chip plans. Now, I feel like regardless of your chip plans, I would still probably have Mbappe in my team. Regardless of whether you're having a wildcard in the quarterfinals or no wildcard, I would still go with Mbappe. Especially if you have no wildcard, I probably will go with Mbappe. So that leaves two more forward spots. Now, I have Gakpo in here, and this is for those who don't have a chip. If you don't have a chip, I think it's worth having a look at Dutch attack, and it's between Gakpo or Memphis Depay. I've gone for Gakpo as I feel like he is the more attacking out of the two. Not fully convinced with Depay, but Depay might be the one on penalties. But I've gone for Gakpo in here. That's for Dutch attack. You could go for Harry Kane as well from England, but I feel like it's just going to be low scoring games that I'm kind of put off English attack, to be honest. So I don't really have Kane in there. Lukaku, I'm not even going to trust anymore. He's had his chances, he's failed miserably, so I'm not going to even bother with Lukaku. I think Havertz is worth a mention. Germany attack will be pretty good against Denmark, so Havertz definitely deserves a mention. But I would also I think I prefer Ronaldo and Gakpo over him. Ronaldo, now he hasn't scored, but out of this tournament, I still believe he's one of the most clutch players in the tournament. And round of 16, I think he knows he's not scored. He knows he hasn't got a goal. He will definitely want to try and get a goal somehow or the other. And I feel like one is probably coming against Slovenia. It's not a bad opponent to have Ronaldo for, especially for those of you who have a wildcard chip. If you have a wildcard chip, you can load up on Portugal attack a bit more than people who don't have wildcard chips, because those who don't have a wildcard aren't going to load up on Portugal that much because they will face France in the quarterfinals. those of you who have a wild card and are going to play it in the quarters, you can load up on Portugal. You can load up on the likes of Spain. Those are the teams you can load up on in this fixture to differentiate from those who don't have a wild card chip. So I like Ronaldo as an option. I would also mention Morata. I think he deserves a mention. Spain will score quite a number of goals, or they do tend to score quite a number of goals. So I would want a Spanish attacker. Apart from Morata, is there anyone else that I think kind of deserves a mention? We mentioned Depay and Gakpo. Harry Kane, maybe. I'm not even thinking about Lukaku at this point. He might score a goal after all of his offsides, but not bothered. Griezmann, no. I'll probably go Mbappe over Griezmann. That is basically it. I think maybe from Portugal, another option would. Is he a forward? I don't think he's a forward, no? Oh, Spain. I should mention Lamine Yamal as well as another Spanish option for anyone who's looking. I think he's also pretty good. Pretty good under 16-year-old wonder kid playing really well for Spain. Definitely would mention him. And now if this guy has scored in all 3 games, right? He scored in all 3 games for Georgia. If they weren't playing Spain, who've kept 3 clean sheets, I would have recommended him. If anyone's looking for an absolute punt and wants to go completely left field, maybe you can go for him. But I think Spain might keep a clean sheet, so I can't really recommend. But if you're looking for completely left field pick, maybe. That's basically it. I don't think there are any other forwards that I would want to look at. Italy, no one really standing out as an option. But yeah, that's the options. Maybe Austria, Arnautovic had a few chances in the last game, but I think Austrian midfielders, there are a few to kind of mention over the Austrian forward. Now, midfielders, let's get into midfielders. I've gone for double Germany attack. Let's start with Germany. I think attack-wise, there'll be a good option. Musiala, Gundogan, and Florian Wirtz, not Wirtz. Wirtz is the 3 midfielders from Germany for you to look at. And they'll be one of your opening captaincy picks as well from Germany. So Musiala, I think, is a standout. And then from Gundogan or Wirtz, up to you in terms of who you really want to go and get. Gundogan, I still think will be pens, and I think he might actually play more closer to 90 minutes than both Musiala and Wirtz. So you would want generally knockout football to try and get players who are close, like playing as close to 90 minutes as possible. So I've gone for Gundogan in that option. That could change to someone else from another team, but for the moment, it's Gundogan. Apart from Germany, I would go for Austria. I would mention Austria for those, especially not on who don't have a wild card. You probably should look a bit more into Austrian players as well. And there are 2 specifically. Sabitzer, who tends to play the further forward player from the Austrian lineup. He's also the captain, so will play for longer. And also got a goal in the last game. The other option is Baumgartner, who plays on the right wing for Austria, who is also a very attacking player for Austria. Didn't play in the last game, but came off the bench and got an assist. So definitely want to mention as well. Really good price, both of them at 6.5 million. I think Austrian players definitely would recommend those 2. Belgium, if you really want to go for KDB and think that Belgium will beat France, then KDB, but I highly doubt it, so I wouldn't recommend anyone from Belgium. Denmark, no. England, man. If for some reason the lineup gets leaked and it says that like Cole Palmer is playing, maybe him potentially, but I don't even trust anyone. Same thing with like Harry Kane. The only one I would probably think about would be Bellingham, just because of man of the match possibilities. But I'm not too convinced in terms of the attacking output. And I'm still uncertain on who's going to be playing that England midfielder. Like, I can't even tell you whether you should go and get Saka or Foden, because there's so much like uncertainty around England and their best midfield that I just can't, without guarantee tell you who to go and pick. The only one I think I'm kind of safe on is Bellingham because he will play regardless. I can't really say that for the other midfielders, to be honest. So England probably only Bellingham. France midfield, I wouldn't really look at anyone. I don't think there are that many standout options, to be honest. The only one maybe Kante just tends to like putting god tier performances whenever he plays. So for man of the match chances, possibly Kante and ball recoveries. That's the only pure reason. Attacking wise, I don't think he gets that much from this French team. But like ball recoveries, yeah. Germany, we mentioned. Italy, not really anyone, to be honest. I wouldn't go anyone there. The Dutch, Xavi Simons, maybe specifically for this round if you're looking, Xavi Simons. But apart from that, no one really. And if you don't have a wild card, if you don't have any chips, I wouldn't go for Dutch midfielder if you don't have any chips. Portugal, I think Bruno Fernandes has to be mentioned as an option. Whether you have a chip or you don't have a chip, I think he's one of the best players to probably go and get from Portugal. If you have a chip and you're willing to load up on Portuguese midfield, maybe Bernardo Silva is not a bad shout, to be honest. Got a rest as well in matchday 3. But I prefer Bruno in general over Bernardo Silva as well. To inform, like to just kind of like as a player going forward in terms of volume and like chance creation and everything, I just prefer Bruno Fernandes. And also minutes wise, I think Bruno will play more minutes than Bernardo Silva as well. Romania, if you think Romania have a chance, probably Stanishu, but I wouldn't really go for any Romanians. Slovakia, no. Slovenia, no. Spain, this is where we get interesting. I think I've gone for Nico Williams. Absolutely attacking, the most further forward player, I think, from that Spanish. If you look at the heat maps and all, he's like the most further forward from the Spanish attack. This guy will create chances. And it's knockout football, right? So they're going to get more minutes. They're going to get more minutes than they usually get from the group stages. So he usually gets like 70 minutes, roughly 75 minutes. Knockout football. Now, it's Georgia, means they'll kind of like might get again 75 minutes because you think Spain would have won the game by then. But Williams, definitely an option. I think Pedri definitely deserves a shout as well from an attacking point of view. The only thing is his minutes aren't as high as Nico Williams, but maybe knockout football might go higher. And the other one I would mention would be Fabian Ruiz. I know he had a really great first game, but this guy just like ball recoveries wise, he does well, and he'll play a full 90 minutes. So he is another option, another player that deserves a mention. Those are the three players that I would mention from from Spanish midfield. Switzerland, no. Turkey, no, because also Kalanagu is suspended at the worst possible moment. But yeah, Arda Güler, not really against Austria. I think Austria have the better opportunity in that game. So yeah, that's basically the players that I would look at. Hopefully that video has helped you. And players who you can look and target. Let me know if I've missed anyone in the comments, and let me know what your team looks like as well. And I will be live streaming tomorrow, 2 hours before kickoff of the Switzerland versus Italy game. So do come and join me. And if you reached up to this point, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out, everyone.